All praises to the Most High Yahweh. We give you glory and honor. I pray that the hearers of this word will be blessed. And I pray a hedge of protection around this message, and that you would send warring angels to protect whatever is of you and discard anything that is not, in the name of Yeshua Mashiach. So today's message is called, What Did We Miss in the Wilderness? Why must Israel return there again to become priests of the earth? Everyone wants to know what will happen and why, so this is my attempt to answer those questions. And of course, this is a continuation from my series on The Economist, as well as how will we come out in the Exodus. And also, I did a message on the 1/3 that have already been sifted out. So this is continuing from all of those if you want to go back and watch them. So this is part 2 of my video, and I will clarify, I think in this video, what I left behind in the last one with the Harry Rosen's site. So let's get into it. So we're going to get into the Shemaim and the mountains of Yah, and where Hasatan is, and what will happen at the very end of times, and the great rock and Jerusalem coming down in part 2. Like I said, you guys, I always do long videos, and if you're too impatient to listen, I always say just listen to it in pieces and just remember your place. Don't be impatient, because I'm doing this because it's very important. So we talked all about Mount Carmel being the mountain to go up, and the name of it, Kar with the Kaf, which is like the menorah, and the head, which is the Resh, the water to cross over, and the Lamed, the guiding staff of our shepherd, and of course the flowers on the mountain, the smoke on the mountain, which is the head of Yah. Solomon as a type of Yeshua. And then we had these amazing scriptures that really confirm Carmel. Thine head upon thee is like Carmel, and the hair of thine head like purple. The king is held in the galleries. The excellency of Carmel and Sharon, they shall see the glory of Yahweh, and the excellency of our Yah. Surely as Tabor is among the mountains, and as Carmel is by the sea, so he shall come. That's Jeremiah 46. Iran is like a wilderness, and Bashan and Carmel shake off their fruits. So Sharon is kind of, Rose of Sharon is associated with the Illuminati and their rose, and Bashan with Mount Hermon and the fallen angels, whereas Carmel is the head of Yah, the fire of Yah, the head of Yah, and the ladder to heaven, and the guiding staff. And of course, Bashan can't be Holy Mount Zion, because it is a name for Mount Hermon. Bashan is known for fruitful sandy soil. The house that is built on sand will not last. It's known as the house plowed with sin, where the 200 angels came down to go into and mate with women. The Hebrew letters are Bet, Shin, and then this last symbol is a symbol of like a plow. So it's a land sown in sin. The sons of Yah saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Genesis, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Yah came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, and they became the mighty men which were of old, men of renown. Now, I tend to go back and forth on the extra biblical books outside of the 80 books of the Bible, but I do find there is some validity in them as long as it agrees with what's in the 80 books. So I wanted to take a look at Enoch and the Book of Jubilees, both of them were found complete amongst the texts of the Ethiopians, the last known empire of Judah. They carried the scepter until the 1970s for over 3,000 years. Regarding Shem's lot here in Jubilees, it says, "There came forth on the writing as Shem's lot the middle of the earth, which he should take as an inheritance for himself and for his sons for the generations of eternity. And it extends till it reaches the waters of the abyss. And his portion extends along the great sea, and it extends towards the east till it reaches the Garden of Eden to the south thereof, and from the east of the whole land of Eden and of the whole east." So the Garden of Eden is part of it. In the biblical or Enochian geography, Africa is south, Japheth's land is north, so Ham's land is south, Japheth's land is north, and Shem's land is east and at the center of the earth. And the west is where all destruction occurs, where the sun goes down, and it's actually where Babylon is. Further to Shem's lot being in Eden, and he knew that the Garden of Eden is the Holy of Holies and the dwelling of Yahweh, and Mount Sinai the center of the desert, and Mount Zion the center of the navel of the earth. And these were created as holy places facing each other. So this is at the center of the earth. And if you watch my video on the true location of Israel, Israel is where Israel is now, but it's been moved by the continental shifts. So where was it previously before Pangea? And Noah blessed the Most High Elohim, who had put the word of Yahweh into his mouth, and Yahweh forevermore, and he knew that a blessed portion and a blessing had come to Shem and his sons unto the generations forever. The whole land of Eden, and the whole land of the Red Sea, and the whole land of the east, and India, and the land of Lebanon, and the islands to Kafur, and all the mountains of Sinur and Amana, and the mountains of Ashur in the north, and the land of Elam, and Ashur, and Babel, and Suzanne, and Medai, and all the mountains of Ararat, and the region beyond the sea, which is beyond the mountains of Ashur towards the north, a blessed and spacious land, and all that is in it is very good. That's Jubilees chapter 8. So this area is where the water descends from above. It's the navel of the earth, the Ishi, which means husband. It also means apple of Yah's eye. And doesn't this look more like a lily of the field and the apple of Yah's eye? Doesn't it make sense that Israel would have been removed from the center of the earth just as Adam and Eve were? Is Israel to be hidden in Mount Zion at the center of the world? Here's some excerpts from the book of Enoch. I only believe in the first one. And thus, the 12 gates of the 4 quarters of heaven are complete. They call the first quarter eastern because it is the first, and they call the second the south because there the Most High descends, and there especially the one who is blessed forever descends. And I saw 7 rivers on the earth, larger than all the other rivers. One of them comes from the east and pours out its waters into the great sea. So if we look at this image, we're seeing probably something different from what's described in pieces down south where Israel is. So remember I did a video piecing Africa back together into this flat earth Pangea scenario, and see we have several different sets of 7 rivers. In Isaiah it says Yah will devote to destruction the gulf of the Mitzrayim Sea. It says that Yah will split the river Euphrates into 7 streams for men to cross with dry sandals. And you see up here at the top of the earth there are 7 rivers at several different sets of these great 4 rivers coming out of the center of the earth where water comes down from heaven. So you can see how this would be done if everything was reconnected or sourced back to the original river. I think the Mitzrayim Sea may actually be North America and not the Egyptian Sea, because it is Mitzrayim, not necessarily Egypt proper. According to Jubilees and Jasher and Enoch, the west is always devoted to destruction. The yellow portion on the bottom right is where Africa fits back into this plain earth geography, Pangea. So here's more description. The two of them come from the north to the sea and pour out their water into the Erythraean Sea to the east. So this is two of the rivers. And the remaining four flow out on the side of the north to their seas. Now, if you look at the Erythraean Sea, it's actually the sea that is just southeast of Israel. And it is what they call the Persian Gulf, because that is where the Euphrates then becomes the Erythraean Sea on the other side of Israel. It says, and then they led me to a place of storm, these are angels, to a mountain, the tip of whose summit reached to heaven. And I saw lighted places and thunder on the outermost ends, in its depths a bow of fire, and arrows and their quivers, and a sword of fire, that's the sword guarding Eden, and all the flashes of lightning. And again I raised my eyes to heaven and saw a high roof with 7 water channels on it, and those channels discharged much water into an enclosure. So this is the enclosure that is around the earth, the Shemayim, which is blue, that's the water that is surrounding us above the firmament. And the water also comes down to the earth in order to create this great sea at the center of the earth. His tail swept down a third of the stars of heaven and cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she bore her child, he might devour it. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Yah, and have the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach. So HaSatan has been mad with the children of Yah since the beginning. Why is he so mad at this particular time? HaSatan, the prince of Tyre. Though you soar aloft like the eagle, though your nest is among the stars, from there I will bring you down, says Yahweh. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend to heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yah. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like God. Ezekiel 28, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Most High, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God, I sit in the seat of the Most High, in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man, and not a God. Though thou set thine heart as the heart of God. So Satan has become just a man now also. And for even more information on the location of the Devil's Mountain, we know that HaSatan took Yeshua to a particular mountain. And the devil took him up on an exceedingly high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. And so then Yeshua is tested by the enemy. And afterwards the devil leaves him, and behold, angels come and minister to him. And so this is a picture of those of us who will eventually be transformed into angels and ministers of Yeshua, who will then minister to him again in the future. Ezekiel 28, Son of man, go take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus saith the Most High, Thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of Yah. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardius, the topaz, the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold. The stones of fire, These are in Enoch. By the multitude of thy merchandise I have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of Yah, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. So this is where Satan is cast out of the center of the earth. So this is why the stars fall from the sky when the woman goes to give birth. And this is why he's fallen out of the heavens, out of his kingdom at the center of the earth. And then he has no choice but to go and make war with the remnant. So we were created to serve. You can look at my Falling Stars videos for more detail, but we were created as sons of Yah, just like the angels. And when we fell, just like the angels, we lost that status. And so here's scriptures confirming that we will return to this status in Yeshua HaMashiach. Yeshua replied, at the resurrection, people will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. But as many as received him, to them he gave the power to become the sons of Yah, even to them that believed on his name. Romans 8. For as many as are led by the Spirit of Yah, they are the sons of Yah. Romans 8:19. For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of Yah. Philippians, that ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of Yah without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as the lights in the world. 1 John 3:1. Behold, what manner of love the Father has bestowed on us, that we should be called the sons of Yah. Therefore the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not. 1 John 3:2. Beloved, now are we the sons of Yah, and it doth not appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. So 1/3 of the nations are destroyed, 1/3 of the angels fell. We replace the angels. Hasatan gets cast out of the mountain, and we go up. But how does this happen? So when Israel is released from Mitzrayim, the word says here in Jeremiah 54 that they will ask the way to Zion and turn their faces toward, or thitherward. And the word toward or thitherward is H2004. Hannah or Hannah. It's the same as the word Hannah. And it means to or fro, used of time, or sides. And I just mentioned sides of the north as being part of the center of the earth and the description of the land there. And of course, Hannah means grace or womb, and Hannah was the mother of Samuel, the priest and prophet. And so they will turn their faces thitherward, saying, come, let us join ourselves to Yahweh in a perpetual covenant. And so what I gather from this is that we could potentially be going right up to the center of the earth rather than out of Yashrael. Because, Hasatan has to set up his whole kingdom there and his whole Antichrist, and all the people who don't read the Bible, which I didn't have a full revelation of there myself, think that, the temple has to be built there, the third temple, not that it's coming down from the sky. So that whole deception has to occur. We know that north is up, usually in language, and south is down. For example, when Abraham is told to leave the land of Canaan, he goes down to Egypt. And Russia, the land of Japheth and Gog and Magog, is up north, close to the center of the earth. Recently we found out, it's been talked about for quite a while, that the people in Israel who are claiming to be Israel but are not, the Ashkenazis, who are descendants of Gomer and Japheth, are retreating to and planning on retreating to the Ukraine, where they come from originally, to a Khazaria 2.0, which is up in the north. So I am proposing that Russia, as the military and power capital of Hasatan's new realm, is positioning himself to attack the great mountain at the center of the earth again this way. Thus saith Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. So then here again is another indication that there is heading up to the center of the earth. Now this is just my theory, and it's scripturally based, but it's based on the books outside of the 80 book canon. So there's always room for being mistaken there. Although I've been reading Enoch lately, and there's so many precepts in Enoch, the first book of Enoch. It's very valid. Now what's really curious about this is that Tarshish says, have you come to take a spoil? Sheba, Dedan, and the merchants of Tarshish with all the young lions thereof shall say unto thee, art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil? So I'm wondering, is Tarshish up near that place saying, have you come up to take a spoil? That's my speculation here. Now, if you look at the map of the center of the earth, right next door to this whole area is Britain. And Britain is close to the center of the earth, and it's right where Africa and Israel would have broken off from this center continent. And there's a lot of frequent rumors about the fact that Eber's relatives, again, these are Shemites, were in the land of Britain along with the descendants of Japheth. So Eber was there, and it would make sense because he's one of the first children, descendants of Shem, before the continents began to shift, before Pangea. So there are remnants of his relatives up where Britain is, who mixed in with the children of Japheth after the continental Pangea shift. Okay, so they're saying, have you come up here? They're like a front line. And what is so interesting is that the UK has always maintained their pound, even though they've got the Illuminati there and everything. When William of Orange came in, and when the Blackguards, when the people of Venice, who were descended from the people of the serpent and mixed in with Esau, came in and took over the identity of the Yahudim in the north, then that's when Britain became extremely corrupted, because they got sold into debt and then they had to buy into slavery, which is what King James was rallying against. And this is why we have to be really careful about calling the British purely Japheth, because when Yah is redeeming everybody, he's redeeming people in Dedan, in Elan, in people among the Medes and the Persians. These are all Shemitic people. And who was up in the UK area before Pangea? Eber. So Hasatan will shift his spiritual power, will fully relocate to Sodom and Egypt, which is the fake Jerusalem right now, and the temple that is being constructed for him to be worshipped there as the Antichrist, as the new Christ, until Gog and Magog is able to come up against the hidden village in the mountain where Yah will be protecting his children before they are transformed fully upon the coming of Yeshua. So let's just take a look at how Yah will war against the mountain of the enemy. Sinai was altogether a smoke, because Yahweh descended upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. So, we have to address how all of this will come about, the shifting of the lands and everything. Many people say everything will be replaced. And there are multiple earthquakes during the tribulation and the judgment. Psalm 68, the earth shook, the heavens also dropped at the presence of Yah. Even Sinai itself was moved at the presence of Yah, Yah of Yisrael. So we heard that it was moved before. So it just might be moved again. And of course, a lot of other things are going to be moving. And I think a lot of things back to the original pre-Pangea. So everything shall be replaced. Zechariah 4, who are you, O great mountain, before Zerubbabel? You shall become a plain, and he shall bring forth the capstone with shouts of grace, grace to it. So what is this about? Because we know that Yeshua is both the cornerstone and the capstone. And so later on I'll get to some references in the book of Enoch that refer to this capstone. Another scripture is in Matthew 16:18, where Yahshua declares Peter the rock of his church, his confession of faith. That thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So we know that they were actually at Philippi near Mount Hermon when he made this statement. And again, Mount Hermon is Bashan, and it is where the angels descended to mate with the daughters of men. And lastly, it says, and Jesus said unto them, because of your unbelief, verily I say to you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible to you. So it sounds like some mountain somewhere has to be moved again. And so not only do I believe that the people of Israel will be removed on a mountain, I believe also the mountains of the earth of the fallen ones, the mountains of the fallen ones will also be removed. And Jerusalem currently is close to Mount Hermon, and it is called Sodom and Egypt. The book of Enoch says in chapter 1, and the eternal Yah will tread from there upon Mount Sinai, and he will appear with his host, and will appear in the strength of his power from heaven. And all will be afraid, and the watchers will shake and fear, and great trembling will seize them up to the ends of the earth. And the high mountains will be shaken, and the high hills will be laid low, and will melt like wax in a flame. And the earth shall sink, and everything that is on the earth will be destroyed, and there will be judgment upon all, and upon all the righteous. But for the righteous he will make peace, and he will keep safe the chosen, and mercy will be upon them. They will all belong to Yah, and will prosper and be blessed, and the light of Yah will shine upon them. So what scriptures go along with this precept? Isaiah 60 verses 1 through 3 say, "Arise and shine, for their light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to the light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising." So here's more to the reordering of the earth. Revelation 6:12. At the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth, the moon blood, and the stars of heaven fell to earth. Heaven departs as a scroll, and every mountain and island is removed out of their places. So do you think we're on the Mount of Yah yet, or are we on the earth still enduring the plagues? Well, I'm not sure, but let's see what the word has to say about it. And it says in Revelation 7:2 and 3, "And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Most High Yahweh. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of Yah in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of Israel." Yashrael. So the song to the Shunammite, Judah, and Joseph is the double resting place, and the seventh seal, is going to be the Shabbat. So I think maybe this might be the resting time for Israel. Also, in Revelation 7, we see that the 144,000 are before the throne of Yah, and they serve him day and night. And this happens at the sixth seal, like as on the sixth day, when Yeshua took the disciples up the Mount of Transfiguration, Peter and John. So there's a direct correlation here, and here's some more scriptures. Revelation 14, "And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven as a voice of many waters, sung, as it were, a new song before the throne, 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which are not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb wheresoever he goeth. These were the redeemed from among men, being the first fruits of Yah unto the Lamb." Okay, and they're singing this song, which I mentioned before, in Song of Solomon. So we know Song of Solomon is really the marriage song and wooing song of Yah in Yeshua to Israel. And this is the song that the 144,000 learn, and this is the singing on the mountain of Carmel. So to mention the Shunammite again, the Shunammite who were mentioned, one was Abishag, who was the companion and servant of David. He was never intimate with her, but she slept with him and kept him warm. And then she was in demand by the sons of David, and she became Solomon's first true love. And Shunammite means double resting place. So she had both the king, the father, and the sons. The Shunammite was an intimate servant of the father David in his kingdom. David, who bought the materials to build the kingdom's foundation. And then the Shunammite as a bride is redeemed by the son Solomon, given to him in marriage. He builds the temple of Yah and places the capstone, just like Moshe brought Israel out of slavery and taught them to serve, and Yeshua brought them into the actual land. The Shunammite represents the resting place for both Joseph and Judah, the double resting place with the foundation built by David and the capstone placed by Solomon. So Israel could be very well protected up north of the center of the earth after Yah has smitten these 7 streams of water. And it would make sense because likely they're going to come out of Babylon, which is down south. Next, we have the destroying stone that is not cut out with human hands, Daniel 2:34. You watched while a stone was cut out without hands, which struck the image on its feet of iron and clay and broke them in pieces. Then the iron and the clay and the bronze and the silver and the gold were crushed together and became like chaff from the summer threshing floors. The wind carried them away so that no trace of them was found. And the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. There is a precept for this in Enoch, which I'm going to show you at the end. But as I said, and as the word says, these books were sealed up until the end, and it is the end now, so we are unsealing them as we awaken. And like I said, there is a direct correlation between mountains and trees, because the angels made a work of the trees and cut them down to erect their own pyramids. And Yeshua is a tree, Israel is a tree, and this is the remnant. The mountains are the remnant of the trees, and Yah is the greatest tree. And so Yeshua is the great tree, the great capstone that will destroy Sodom and Egypt, and that will cause us to be signed, sealed, and delivered forever. So we come back to this scripture that says, "Who art thou, O great mountain, before Zerubbabel? Thou shalt become a plain, and he shall bring forth the capstone thereof with shoutings, crying, Grace, grace unto it." That's Zechariah again. In the secret mountainous place at the center of the earth, it says in Enoch 18 that the top of the throne of the mountain of Yah, there is a capstone, a throne of sapphire. And Zerubbabel was basically the first fruits of the colony of Israelites to come back from Babylon to Israel. He was a governor who rebuilt Jerusalem, and he was the grandson of King Jehoiakim. And I also believe Zerubbabel served both between the northern and the southern kingdoms, what was left of the northern. And he didn't really become a king, but it was promised to him that he would become the capstone, having laid the foundation. So he was a type and a shadow for Yeshua. He was the first to come back. That's why his name is Zerubbabel. It means sown in Babel. So he's the first to return from Babel to put the foundation down. So as the foundation, he is also the capstone. So in that sense, he's a type of Yeshua, who is both the foundation and the capstone. Zechariah, signed, sealed, and delivered. On that day, declares Yahweh of hosts, I will take you, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel, declares Yahweh, and make you a signet ring. For I have chosen you, declares Yahweh of hosts. 2 Timothy also says, but Yah's firm foundation stands, bearing this seal. Yahweh knows those who are his. So we have a signet ring and a seal are the same thing. It's the way a king seals a letter and makes something law and true, and a ring is a way by which one is married to something. It's a covenant. And so Job says, thou hast commanded the morning since thy days, and caused the day spring to know its place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it. It is turned as clay to the seal, and they stand as a garment. So the earth will be shaken and turned as clay to a seal, and the final sealing of the earth in its perfect place will be done by our Savior Yeshua in this marriage process and by the terror that comes upon the earth. And in Isaiah 11:10 it says, and in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which will stand for an ensign, a sign, a signature again to the people. Lo, it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And so this is the 144,000 sealed, sealed by the light that comes upon them. And this is also the seal that Yahweh has set on his own heart. And it relates back to Song of Solomon 8:6. It says, "Set me as a seal upon thine heart, as a seal upon thine arm, for love is as strong as death, and jealousy is cruel as the grave. And the coals thereof are coals of fire, which hath a most vehement flame." So this is all the culmination of Yah coming on the mountain with that fury and jealousy against the enemy for trying to steal his bride. And it's the final sealing of the marriage, the final covenant. And so we have, it's the wedding supper is related to all of this with the signet ring. And so, as I said, in the Hebrew wedding, there's a ketubah, a whole engagement process that the West African Israelites practice. They're engaged for a year. The groom stands at the door and knocks. And if the bride and their family have investigated him and received the down payment, the bride can say that she accepts him by letting him in, and she compasses him about. And they sit at the table, and they are ready to sit down and dine together for their wedding. Now, I believe because Israel is still in its kind of cursed state, women are ruling over men. And the reason why I say this is because there's this scripture that says, "Shall a woman compass a man about?" And so I suspect in the West African ceremony, things have been a little bit reversed. And because the cloud encompasses the mountain, and Yah says that he will be a ring of fire around us and in the midst of us. And so the ring of fire is almost like a wedding ring, and the seal is the sealing of us. So I think in this case that it's actually Yeshua who will come in and compass us about. "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in to him and eat with him, and he with me." And this is how the identity of the true Hebrews is really buried in the culture. And so this is how I believe, according to Romans 11:26, "And so all Israel shall be saved, and as it's written, there shall come out of Zion a deliverer, and he shall turn away all ungodliness from Israel." So he seals the covenant and changes us. And we become this wilderness temple, where he maketh us to lie down beside still waters, and restores our soul, leading us in paths of righteousness. And so the one who is worthy to seal the earth after opening the seals, the seventh seals, is of course Yahshua, and the root of David, because he bought us with his blood out of every tribe, language, people, nation, ethnos, Gentile, heathen people even, and has made us kings and priests unto Yah, and we will reign on earth. So I decided to take a glance at Sephardic or Ashkenazi Harry Rosen's Lost Tribe of Israel site. He is a rabbi in Israel. And what do you know? It's a picture of flat earth and the Rubus Negro North Pole. And that's in Israel, this particular academy where they're looking for the lost tribes. I don't know if to you that adds or takes away credibility, and I don't even know if he's aware of the type of map that is, but I'm going to suspect that they are. So we are the precious stones, the 12 tribe stones of Israel that become the stone temples of Yah, and the precept for this again is in Enoch. And it says, "Again, I saw the cornerstone of the earth and the four winds which support the earth and the sky." And down to 5, "I saw the winds on the earth that support the clouds. And I went towards the south," here at 6, "and it was burning day and night. And there were 7 mountains of precious stones. And the middle one reached to heaven, like the throne of Yahuwah, of stibium or antimony. And the top of the throne was sapphire, and I saw burning fire that was in all the mountains." So this is the mountains at the center that reach up to Yah, where Yah rules from. And there's so this is the precept, again, the precept for it in Enoch, which can be confirmed in Isaiah. In Isaiah it says, "O afflicted one, storm-tossed and not comforted, behold, I will set your stones in antimony," so the same stone, "and lay your foundations with sapphire." So the stone of the primary mountain is antimony. Sometimes it's described as crystal, and then the capstone is sapphire. And so you see it's referenced throughout the book. And when we look at Ephesians, it says that we become fellow citizens with the saints and members of the household of Yah, built on the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Yeshua himself being the cornerstone, in whom the whole structure being joined together grows into a holy temple in Yeshua. So our body is transformed into a holy temple in Yeshua. And so we ourselves, like the stone, the rock of the mountain, are stones being built up as a spiritual house, to be as a holy priesthood, to offer spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Yah through Yeshua. So we become like the stone of Yah. We are transformed like the angels. And we also become, just as Yeshua is the rock, we become like the rock. And just like an altar is made of stone, not cut out with human hands, you cannot use a chisel on an altar, so the human who is transformed into a precious stone in Yeshua as an altar unto Yah, because we know the saints cry out beneath the altar in heaven, they become a temple not built with human hands. Okay? And we know that the 12 tribes all have 12 stones whose builder and foundation is Yah. Of Jerusalem it is said in Revelation 21, "And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth an emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th a chrysoprasus, the 11th a jacinth, and the 12th an amethyst." And where do we find these precious stones? Among the priests unto the nations. So Revelations 21 says, having the glory of Yah, her light, this is Jerusalem, okay? Having the glory of Yah, her like was unto a stone most precious, even a jasper stone, clear as crystal. Now that antimonian stone is also sometimes described as a clear as crystal stone, which sometimes corporations give to their corporate heads with a capstone of sapphire on top. So it could be either clear or the antimony silver stone, which we see in the movie Thor. So, and then it says, "And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, in them the names of the 12 apostles. And the length and the breadth and the height thereof," this is of Jerusalem, "was 144,000, which is 12 times 12,000. 12,000 times 12,000 squared is 144,000. And so that is the height and the width and the breadth of the city. Okay, squared. And its foundation stones are the stones of the 12 tribes of Israel." And so when we go into Enoch and we look at the Mount of Yeshua, Enoch 24:1, it says, "From there I went to another place of the earth, and he showed me a mountain range of fire that blazed day and night. And I went towards it, and I saw 7 magnificent mountains, and all were different from one another, and precious beautiful stones, and all were precious." And down to down here to 3 and 4. And there was a seventh mountain in the middle of these, and in their height they were all like the seat of a throne, and fragrant trees surrounded it. And the angel answered me, saying, This high mountain which you saw, whose summit is like the throne of Yahweh, is the throne where the holy great one, Yahweh of glory, the eternal King, will sit when he comes down to visit the earth for good. So that is the end of the journey up the mountain. And, just be comforted that Yah will see us through the fire, because he's loving and good, and he sees us as his wife, his child, his friend, his brother. Every manifestation of loving relationship that there is, he has towards us. So though we may suffer, we can yet trust in him, and ultimately we become like him, the eternal flame on the mountain. And just as the blood of the saints cries out from the altar of Yah, so we become the altar of Yah and the eternal flame that holds his spirit and is part of him. Okay? And, because we replace HaSatan, what is very interesting here is the number 144 equals 9. And 9 was the number of HaSatan. He had 9 stones on his breastplate. And remember, Yah says he will cast him down, that he was amidst the stones of fire. So these are the stones on the altar that burn with the eternal flame of Yah, which is what the 144,000 are. And they are the foundation stone of the city of Jerusalem and the temple of Yah and the very altar of Yah. And so 1 + 4 + 4 replaces 9. And Jimmy Hendrix had the song, if a 6 became 9, I don't mind. I don't mind. If a mountain fell into the sea, let it be. It ain't me, because I've got my own world to live in, and I ain't gonna copy you. Learn not the ways of the Gentiles. So many of the songs of the Hebrews have all this stuff coded into it. And of course, HaSatan would twist that for us to become like he is now. But in Yah's world, we replace the fallen. And that is why the enemy is so wrath. So it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountains of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it. Family, this is the end sign, and many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. Family, if you've made it all the way through, may Yah bless you and keep you and cause his face to shine upon you. May he be gracious, lift the light of his countenance, and give you peace in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. I'll put up more videos, but probably just about once a week. I appreciate those of you who watch and download my videos, because my channel is a channel that is not liked by Sophia and the enemy. So praise Yah. When we are persecuted, we are blessed. Hallelujah. Love you in Yeshua. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit that notification button so that you can be notified of the videos as they come up. And please donate. I tend to use the donation money for photos for my videos. I don't really get that much money. So thank you for watching. Bless you. Shalom.